And good morning. You are tuned right here to KLYC 1260 AM in your weekly gardening show, To the Root of It. And we have Ruth and Kyle, and we are your local master gardeners from the Oregon State University Extension Service here in Yamhill County. The Extension office is located right here in McMinnville. Hi,
Yes.
Ruth. Good morning.
Good morning, Kyle. It's nice to be back again.
Back and back and back you will be because as
Yeah.
Ray is traversing the California desert, we're going to
Yeah.
have you and
Going down
Sharon
south.
and
Mhm.
other master gardeners coming in and out of the studio.
That's
So great to have you here
Thank
this
you.
week. A very warm week coming
Yeah,
up, isn't it?
It's going to be surprising. I think it's going to take us all by surprise. Here in the Willamette, we're going to continue to see some of this weather that we've had this last week.
Mhm.
And it's going to be kind of foggy, and there are going to be pockets of fog and overcast and stuff. But we will get into some sunshine. It'll surprise us.
Right, surprised me. It did because I woke up this morning to what I feel like was a completely different weather report than what has been given to me the whole week. Because
Yep.
today we have a high expected. Here it says possibly 60 degrees,
I know.
and that
And the sun, that great
and
orb
tomorrow
will come out.
63, Monday
Yeah.
62, Tuesday 55 with a chance of rain. They're coming back.
And the coast too, I think, is in line to get some sunshine and some nice weather, not too breezy and stuff too. I've
Usually a
heard
little
that.
bit cooler than it is here, but
Yep.
my plans last weekend to go to the coast were washed away because it was a little rainy. But this weekend it is pretty nice out there. I mean,
Yeah,
I am
think
amazed
so.
because I got out in we're working in the chicken coop area of the garden. And I got to do some digging, and then the muds came. I mean, the rains came to create the muds and just taking one step in the mud, I get a foot of mud underneath my
Yeah,
boots that
yeah.
I can't rub it in the grass. I
No.
can't scrape it
Nope.
on the sidewalk. It
Nope.
just stays on
It
there.
stays on there. It really
Yeah.
does. It's that lovely clay that fortunately does give us a lot of nutrients when we're growing things, which is great. But
That
yeah,
is-
it can
that is the
build
key-
up.
That's the canned master gardener
Yeah.
response. I think that we've all taken seminars on
Yes.
the rich nutrient
rich-
clay
yeah.
that we have here, that we're blessed with here in the Willamette Valley.
Yeah, as long as
Um,
you mix it with some compost and get some air in there and get
Right. If I had-
room for the roots
If
to
I
grow.
had bark dust in there,
Yeah.
or maybe some plantscape fabric down,
Oh, no,
that would
no.
it would have been helpful to me, or something to grip with because it got a
Yes.
little bit slippery. But
Well, yeah, and the warm temperatures, the increasingly little warm temperatures. I actually saw some bud growth on my roses, and of course, we're all seeing just the beginnings of daffodils, crocus, and other things bravely poking up, and it's a little early.
we talked about Ray and I had snowdrops last week in the
Oh,
past
yeah.
couple of weeks that they've been coming up, and they can actually come up through the snow.
Yep.
We haven't had that here yet, but they're coming up, and you're right, daffodils. And that's the real danger of this heat wave that we have coming. If it's not immediately followed by a long cold spell,
Yeah, long, slow
plants-
cold.
plants are going to be like, okay, well, spring is here.
Yeah, exactly.
6 weeks early,
Mhm.
8 weeks early.
Mhm.
That seems a little odd for us, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yep.
And then that's when we get the next freeze
Right.
that is bound to happen.
Yeah, because
We're gonna
it's early, and in February we usually do around this time see some really nice weather, which just
Mhm.
seems to be showing up a little bit, and we all get excited, and then it turns cold again.
Right,
So
and not
it's,
just
that's
cold,
very typical.
freezing.
Yeah,
and-
frosty for several days.
And if you've got these bud swellings during this, there are certain periods where the plant, particularly fruit trees, they can recover. But if it's young in the bloom time of it, and then you because they're thinking that it's springtime, you
Right.
get that development going, and then they start to that bud swelling and that bloom, and then you get the frost coming,
It's gonna
damage.
kill. It can kill
damages that
buds.
one.
Yeah, it really can.
But they've got plans for this because they've got secondary buds that can then pop
Yeah,
out.
to delay a crop or make it smaller in some ways. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
but that's kind of the danger
It
area
it
for
is,
because you
and-
can
and
lose
that
an
happens.
entire season's worth of crop, right?
Right. Yeah, and for a commercial grower, it can be either catastrophic or not so catastrophic, depending on where it hits and so forth, because they can recoup some. For the homeowner who's got one tree or two trees or three, it's a little bit more devastating because it can take everything out.
Yeah, and that's a really good point right there. And so you've got to be careful with this. Or we can say yes, great, it's going to be here.
It's gonna be,
but
it's too early.
Honestly, this week I finally got the time to trim my apple tree.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had these big long spears that were sticking out, and I trimmed those all down so that everything is just little nubs going on right
Yay.
now.
Oh, beautiful.
But then we've got this warm spell coming
You're going,
on.
No,
It's like,
wait.
So when you trim it, and I actually had a friend ask me last week, is this a good time to move my tree from the front yard or the backyard to the front yard? Yeah, this is a good time. Perfect. Dormant time.
Right, exactly.
And then, as a matter of fact, it's so perfect, I'm going to go and trim this apple tree right now in front of you to prove this. Ha And then now it's scary because when you trim the tree, that encourages kind of growth. It's like, okay, well, I got a branch gone. I better go ahead and
use
grow
my
some.
energy.
And now we've got this warmth coming, and we're going to put that energy into where I just got trimmed.
Yeah, I know.
I think I may have mistimed this, Ruth.
Well, trees and plants have a remarkable way of recovering most of the time.
Yes.
Most of the time, they really do. I have a Italian prune tree that suffered for many years being overshadowed by the oak tree and by a English laurel shrub out of control. And gradually, I'm getting it back into shape, but it doesn't have to all be done in 1 year, one season. It can take a couple seasons. That's okay.
It sure can.
Whatever you did this year, you have another opportunity. Summertime, too.
I have these plum trees that I got on sale because they were dying and dead. And I've kept them in their small pot that they came with a year ago. And I've been nursing them along, and they've been dying off and on. And so anyway, I've got them ready and situated in the chicken area where I'm going to plant them. It's going to be a good time to kind of plant them.
Yeah.
And so it should be good for that because they're finally getting in the soil.
Yeah, and in Oregon we're really fortunate. As long as the ground's not frozen, you can plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives you lots of opportunities all year.
I got to go down to Recology and grab some compost to go ahead and mix that in.
They
with
have
it.
great stuff. I buy it. I
the
still
good
have
stuff, don't they?
a running ticket from them for things that I bought last year, and I just go in and get a couple of buckets at a time because I don't have a truck.
It's funny you mention that because I think that's actually what I'm going to do today because I don't need to get an entire truckload's worth. So I can go ahead and purchase a yard and then get a bucket at a time.
Get it fresh from Recology where you can get all the different mixtures that you want and different textures and so forth because you want different textures in your garden soil. And it's fresh all the time. Otherwise, if you get a whole bunch and it's on your driveway or your yard somewhere, it's decomposing at your house.
I know.
It's
like you're doing the job too.
That's right.
But I'm willing to do that right now because especially with this warmth, I missed putting the compost around some of the trees around doing and then putting the bark dust on that. I missed doing that when I was supposed to about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, in the fall.
Right, exactly, a long time ago. So with this warm spell, I'm going to take that time and go ahead
a good idea.
and put that in there.
Yeah.
Let's take a break real quick.
Okay.
Because we can. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some garden shows because it is the season.
It is.
And then we've also got our own spring into gardening show for our master gardeners, and then we'll go ahead and talk about that. But for right now, you're listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC 1260 AM.
says all children should get the measles vaccine. Pediatrician Isaac Thompson.
What we know about the vaccine is it's extremely safe, so millions upon millions have received this vaccine over decades.
At least 80 cases of measles have been reported in California, 6 other states, and Mexico. I'm John Trout. Lifting balloons were unsuccessful in retrieving the fuselage of the crashed AirAsia jetliner out of the Java Sea. Rescuers had the section of wreckage near the surface, but a lifting balloon deflated and the fuselage sank to the ocean floor again. A total of 69 bodies have been recovered. Sports correspondent Rachel Nichols says nobody from the NFL has even spoken to Tom Brady about the so-called Deflategate.
Tom Brady said that nobody has talked to him yet, which raised a lot of eyebrows. In fact, there's no player on the Patriots who said that anyone has talked to them yet.
With the Super Bowl just 9 days away, the NFL has offered no timetable for resolving the cheating accusations. Tens of thousands of Yemenis have been marching in protest against Shiite rebels who hold the capital, Sana'a. In the largest protest since the rebels, known as Houthis, took over the city, protesters chanted slogans demanding the restoration of the president, who resigned Thursday after being taken prisoner in his home. I'm John Trout.
Does a presentation with high-quality paper give you goosebumps? When you hear LaserJet printers printing, does it sound like a pastoral symphony? If so, you might be gear-centric, someone who knows that the right office gear helps you do great things. And at Office Depot and Office Max, we have the quality printing gear you need. Right now, get a 10-ream case of paper for only $24.99 and save even more in rewards. Office Depot and Office Max. Gear up for great. Limit 2. Offer ends 1/24.
Tomorrow.
The British are coming! The British are coming!
Sons of Liberty, history's new scripted drama.
Hand over the tray to Samuel Adams and John Hancock.
The untold story of a group of rebels
These are our streets!
who brought an empire to its knees.
These people are asking for a war. We're going to give them one.
Let's show them what we're made of. Fire!
A 3-night special event, Sons of Liberty. Premieres tomorrow at 9, 8 Central on History.
To the Root of It on AM 1260 KLYC is brought to you by Recology's Northwest Greenland in McMinnville. You know, it takes more than a pile of decomposing yard debris and leaves to make your soil healthy and your plants happy. That's why Recology actively manages their compost to ensure the highest level of microbial activity. The rich soil amendments promote healthy plant life in your vineyard, your nursery, your yard, and your garden. Recology's compost, which is certified for organic growing, can enhance overall soil quality, provide plants with nutrients they need to grow larger and healthier, minimize the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides, increase your soil's ability to hold moisture and retain nutrients, feed helpful earthworms, create a buffer for your plants against common toxins in the soil, and control pH levels and support essential bacterial growth. It's more than just compost. It's food for your soil. Northwest Greenland's a Recology company. In McMinnville at 2200 Northeast Orchard Avenue. Call Recology Northwest Greenlands at 503-434-1671. 503-434-1671. Recology Northwest Greenlands, a proud sponsor of To the Root of It on KLYC.
And we are back. You are tuned right here to The Root of It, your weekly Yamhill County Master Gardener show. Ruth,
You say that so tenuous.
I say it because it's always a strain to come up with 10 words in a row, sometimes right there on the spot, especially ones that have been repeating for 3 years.
Sure.
But as I've been reminded, we are taking calls
Yes.
when and where possible. The phone
Whenever
number
they
is...
folks feel like calling
That's
in.
right. It's 503-435-1260 or 472-1260. And as always, we are streaming currently live on Facebook.com, and you can get the show on repeat, rerun. I don't know what they call it on the web, but it is on YouTube. Just search
There.
To the Root of It and KLYC. There, that's the login information to listen to us if you're not listening on the AM dial, which is 1260.
Yeah, how
Oddly
about
enough.
that?
Wow, incredible.
It is. Very good.
So,
good job. Good job.
So we got the weather going, and as warm as it is coming up, we talk about the things that we are normally doing in the winter season.
Sure.
Because we're bundled up. It should be out there raining.
Yes, it should.
Maybe
Usually
possibly
is.
we could be skiing, snowboarding, doing winter activities. But
Yeah, not enough snowpack. We need
not
snowpack.
happening. No.
Come on, snowpack.
Yeah, that's not going to happen, as we
Sorry.
discussed. And then we also like locking ourselves in cramped spaces in garden shows,
Yes.
going down
Yes.
to the
Getting
arenas,
jealous and looking at things, planning.
paying for the right to be sold to,
Yes.
right? To directly be marketed
Marketed to. You
right
are our
here.
client base.
So in particular, the one that I was looking at that caught my eye here in the Pacific Northwest is the Northwest Flower and Garden Show. That's up in
Yep.
Seattle.
Yep. Beautiful place.
Just one of the many that's going on. And you brought this topic up because you were the one that you were thinking about was the
Yard Garden and Patio Show.
That's right, and
in
that's
Portland.
That's here in
Yep,
Portland.
yep.
And these shows are important, not just because for me it's a reason to geek out, like the comic book people and the Star Wars people.
It's
They've got
called
Comic
Plant
Con.
Nerd.
Right, it's plant nerdum. It's Comic Con for plant
Yes.
nerds.
That's a good way to put it. Yes. And one year
Yeah.
there was actually a walking plant around the Yard Garden and Patio Show on 8-foot stilts.
It's
So,
only bound
yeah.
to get more wild than that, right? That's
Pretty
funny.
weird. Pretty weird.
Pretty weird. So you've got all of these booths and things.
Oh, yeah.
What do you expect when you go to these shows?
I expect to find new plants I haven't seen before, because this is a really prime time for growers, whether wholesale or retail, to bring out new plants and show us and tempt us with all sorts of new things. But and
because it's an industry event.
yeah,
But then
yeah.
they get
But
us
it's-
suckered into the backyard gardener
it's
in there also.
Right, yeah. And so you see everything. There, even this time of year, they've got vegetable gardens growing out there to tempt you and go, oh my God, my rows never look so straight.
Right.
And they've got.
How do they have tomatoes growing right now?
Exactly. And they've got things growing up, trellises and big, huge bare root trees that go in and make instant gardens. I mean, I'm talking about 20-foot trees that you can see in there, and mature birches and mature maples just brought in and put into the gardens and so forth. And
They have full installations.
full installations, yeah.
And it really
often
is
with water.
What caught my eye on the website was the roof, the living garden on the roof.
Oh,
for me, that's
yeah.
my thing that I'm looking at, and I'm fantasizing about an edible roof that I don't know how you
Yes.
exactly walk on the entire
the
part
roof.
of the roof to get to every
Special
thing.
construction.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, that captivates me. I just want to go to a place where somebody has
Right.
put up like a log cabin just to put a roof on, just to put growing material on top
on
of.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it intrigues me more than the living walls that have been around for
well,
a couple
and there's
years
so
now.
that just means there's something for everybody. You know,
Right.
you go for one thing, somebody goes for something else. And the great thing about all the gardens is that the contractor, constructor, idea person, so it's usually 2 or 3 or more people that have come together to make those gardens. They're there talking to you about it. So it's a little mini lecture, a little mini educational opportunity to find out their thought processes, the construction processes, not just because they're now inside, but what they would do if they were installing it in your home, or you were installing it in your home.
And since these are local people,
Yep.
they're available for services
Exactly.
usually too.
And they understand the Northwest. They understand our climate. They're not somebody from Texas or from Southern California coming up and trying to do something. These are local folks putting together their shining effort.
Yeah, and they at these shows they usually have a help or a resource center
Yes.
Kind of like our Ask an Expert website on extension.oregonstate.edu.
Right. Yeah, because Washington State Extension is just as alive and active as Oregon State Extension with the Master Gardeners and all the goodness that goes with that. I do caution people to take a fully charged phone or a fully charged camera with them,
Right.
as well as perhaps a notepad, because you're going to see a lot of things that you wish you had a picture of. And sometimes taking pictures with your camera or your phone is an easier way to document that idea, that plant name that you want to search out in the spring.
Yeah, I'm taking some classes right now, and I've taken two. The instructor goes ahead and takes the time to write on the board, and I used to diligently write in my notebook, as I see you have in front of you. You've got these nice notes written in front of you, but then I just got to the point where I've got a picture now of everything.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I get a better memorization of it when I'm writing it down myself,
Right.
but you know, you don't necessarily, you're going around in the shows, you don't want to write everything down.
No.
Bring a pen, though.
Yes, do.
But they'll give you a bag.
Oh, yes.
They'll give you flyers to write notes down
They'll give you a
on.
bag. They'll give you a this and a that. And you do have to be careful about what you pick up and collect, because you're going to have to lug it around with you.
Right.
So,
Timing is everything. Perhaps do a sweep of the floor initially. Although this one that's up in Seattle, they've got a full acre of a garden installation that they're putting in there. That just sounds big.
It is big. It is very big.
Yeah. So
how big is it, Kyle?
How big is it? Do you want to talk about length? And it's funny because
let's
I
add
actually
to the STEM conversation that's going on out there.
Okay, exactly.
Talk a little math.
You need to know the math, and it got me thinking, because this past weekend I'm laying out a vineyard.
Oh boy!
And so I decided that I need to figure out what an acre is, and I'm on the web. And I want to figure it out, and they've got the the distance and in area, and that doesn't help me, because it's like 43,000 square feet. I'm like, okay, that's
How do you
great.
visualize?
How do you put that in? And then I came across something that says it's essentially 666 feet by 60 feet, or 660 feet by 66 feet, something like that.
Okay.
And I'm like, that is such a weird number for an acre.
Yeah.
And how did they come about that? I did not know. But when I came across this story about the garden show and them saying an acre, I'm like, okay, well, it's time to define this. Let's go find out what this is all about. And I came across something that when they would do, or even for land surveying, you would come across these arcane measurements, like a rod and a chain.
Oh.
And so
a chain,
exactly. And so, oh my gosh, you know what? We're going to take a break. We are going to take a break right now.
Suspense ensues.
I know, and everybody's going to come back, because you're going to want to know
what a rod and a chain
what a rod and a chain and an acre is. For right now, though, you're going to listen to The Root of It right here on KOYC. KOYC 1260 AM.
To the Root of It on AM 1260 KLYC is brought to you by Recology's Northwest Greenland in McMinnville. You know, it takes more than a pile of decomposing yard debris and leaves to make your soil healthy and your plants happy. That's why Recology actively manages their compost to ensure the highest level of microbial activity. The rich soil amendments promote healthy plant life in your vineyard, your nursery, your yard, and your garden. Recology's compost, which is certified for organic growing, can enhance overall soil quality, provide plants with nutrients they need to grow larger and healthier, minimize the need for chemical fertilizers and pesticides, increase your soil's ability to hold moisture and retain nutrients, feed helpful earthworms, create a buffer for your plants against common toxins in the soil, and control pH levels and support essential bacterial growth. It's more than just compost. It's food for your soil. Northwest Greenland's a Recology company. In McMinnville at 2200 Northeast Orchard Avenue. Call Recology Northwest Greenland's at 503-434-1671. 434-1671. Recology Northwest Greenland's a proud sponsor of To the Root of It on KLYC.
This is Gary with Christensen Auto Sales, McMinnville's newest used car dealer, located out here on Highway 99 next to Cascade Steel. We offer a large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. We also offer easy-to-qualify financing with no formal credit check and buy-here, pay-here credit terms. If you have a verifiable source of income, a permanent address, and a down payment on some vehicles as low as $500, we'll have you driving down the road today in your new vehicle. So come down and see us at 3080 Northeast Highway 99 or check us out on the web at christensenautosales.net. That's CHRISTENSEN autosales.net or call us at 503-687-2080.
It's another new year and time for great starts and powerful savings at Davison Auto Parts. Get a $10 prepaid Visa card on the purchase of a qualifying Napa brand battery. Keep the terminals clean with the MAC battery terminal cleaner or battery terminal protector, just $3.49 a can. Castrol GTX conventional motor oil, just $3.79. And Napa full synthetic motor oil that was $5.99 a quart, now just $3.79 a quart. And before you head for the hills, stock up on Napa Extended Life 50/50 Antifreeze and Cool It. Napa know-how at Davison Auto Parts in Stayton, Woodburn, Sheridan, McMinnville, Carlton, Tillamook, Monmouth, and Reedsport.
And we are back. You're listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC, streaming on Facebook as well. We left off talking about length and measures, and the important thing is you've got rods and chains.
Okay.
And the reason I was bringing this up is because I'm trying to lay out this vineyard, and I read along the way that somehow to measure out an acre, you can get 60 feet by 660 feet, and that's an acre. And how do you come up with that? And that's because on the American prairie, where fences were constructed of posts and wires, farmers would place fence posts 16 and a half feet apart.
That seems so random.
It seems so random, but it's the length before the wire would really start to sag or something like that. But
sure.
even more importantly, you put 80 of these together, these 80 times 16 and a half feet, and you get 1/4 of a mile. So you get 80 rods equals 1/4 of a mile, 320 rods in a mile. So it makes it easy math, right?
Right. Oh, yes.
So even more importantly, so you've got these fence posts. The farmer actually has these markers down of to what 1/4 mile is.
Would be. Yeah.
And for me, laying out my vineyard, I thought I had more rods than apparently. I didn't know what the term rods meant until recently, but I now understand that I do not have as many rods as I thought.
Okay.
Or even as I hoped.
How is that in football fields?
In football fields, it's enough.
Oh, good.
Because in football fields, an acre is 90% of a football field. We're all told it's a football field or about a football field. 90%.
90%.
Are we getting all of this spatial recognition?
Yes. Our listener base is going to be confused. What did I turn into?
That's right. Well, we're obviously still talking about rods and chains.
That's right.
And so as we say, a rod is 16 and a half feet, which is important for me because I am laying out fence.
Yeah,
and I was going to put it every 10 feet or even 12 feet just to be fancy standard.
Yeah.
But now I know 16 and a half feet.
Will work, and your lines won't sag.
And I'll
your
know
wires won't
exactly
sag.
how many rods apart I am. And this gets important because we're going to move to chains. So a chain is equal to 4 rods.
Okay.
And a chain is actually something that a surveyor will carry around. It's like a big tape measure, but it actually has like little links and chains. And,
wow.
You may have seen them in antique museums.
The American Prairie Museum.
Right. Well, they have lasers nowadays to do this, but they also still use this chain apparently.
I'm sure the terminology.
But 4 rods equals 66 feet. So that's where we're coming in with the length of an acre and the width of a nice little acre. So we've got 66 feet is 4 rods. And then, so then you go ahead and you throw the distance out to get a full acre, 660 feet. 66 feet by 66 feet equals 1 acre, and that was the answer that I came across.
Okay.
But for me, we still use this because if you wanted to go out and get barbed wire, it's sold by the rod. You get 80. Yeah.
By the
you
rod?
get by the rod.
Okay.
I know. And
Go into Wilco and see what they know.
exactly. And this is I'm putting up a fence. These are terms that really don't stand out or stick.
Not
but
never.
now they do.
Yeah. And what
So-
you'll be able to pass on to your children will be
Well,
fantastic.
I'm really hoping this, or even to you. Okay, so what's a
Yeah.
rod? How many feet?
16.5.
16. Yes.
Yes.
Look at that. And this was important because this was all brought on a lot because I'm laying out the vineyard, but then because I see just a little blurb that says, "Oh, we're going to have an acre garden inside this convention center, and isn't that going to be great?"
We'll have to send you up there to measure it.
And an
pace it
acre
off.
is big, but
It is.
that's going to be inside of something else. So that something else is larger than an acre,
Yes.
which is also very big, but it all puts it into rods and chains
It does.
and perspective. But as we're going to the garden shows and as we are doing that, because we transition very well from the acreage and the fields and the
Right.
farm back into the garden show, is there a specific plant you're looking for? Is there a specific nursery out there that you go for?
Well, in Seattle, no, because I don't know the garden areas that well. Although they do, or they used to have a very nice little publication you could get your hands on smaller nurseries, and you could make your own little nursery tour. At the Yard Garden and Patio Show, I always like to go to their little plant market that they have there. For years, I was in charge of getting all those people together, and hopefully that still continues now that they have a new event.
Now, we touched
person.
briefly about what's growing and what's not growing right now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is really super early season. So, how?
It is.
What are you looking for? House plants? Are you looking
Oh,
for tropicals?
no,
what do they have there?
Personally, I'm looking for perennials. I'm pretty. They're so easy. Put them in the ground and they grow for years until you have to dig them up and divide them. So I always plan to increase the number of perennials that I have. I wait until later in the spring before I start looking for anything on the tree side or shrubby or larger shrub side, and then there are other plant sales that I'll go to. So
Yeah, what I haven't seen yet are the shrub sales that
Oh,
dot the valley.
that dot the section of the Oregonian.
Oh, is that what
Yeah.
you've got there?
Yeah,
you
that's-
found out
yeah.
the local for charity
Yeah,
usually.
they get really big in here during that time. What I have noticed is that I've started getting seed and plant catalogs at home, and
I haven't gone to my mailbox lately. I'm hoping that I have something similar to that because it really is again. It's like the comic books.
It is.
I got that.
You can read it. Yes, and so those are some of my favorites: Territorial Seed and Forest Farms down in southern Oregon, which grow a huge selection. And then I get some seed catalogs from back east on new and improved. But I do like to stick with vegetables, absolutely, with things that have been hybridized here in Oregon, from Oregon State, because they've been bred to be in tune with our climate and our growing season here during the summer, particularly vegetables. And then the hardiness factor that we have here in Oregon, all the different hybrids and stuff. But we are fortunate for trees and shrubs and most perennials. We can grow pretty much everything.
But those vegetable catalogs, they get dangerous.
They
because you can
do.
just as easily spend a lot of money. It's like, okay, well,
I want a
I
little
need one of
round
those.
carrot this year.
I want a purple one. I want a white one. I want a. I guess they still make orange ones.
Yes,
they
they
haven't
do.
quite developed a red one yet, but maybe we can hybridize
Getting
something
close,
into that.
getting close,
We'll
and
work
then
on that.
potato varieties and onion. Oh yeah, it just goes on. And I've mentioned a few catalog names, but they are by no means the only ones
No.
out there. And
It gets dangerous because
it
you only
does.
have a little area.
Right.
Sometimes some smaller than others, and you can't. That they start out, they're like puppies.
Yes.
They start off as little baby, cute little things,
things, and then
with
pretty
such
soon-
high hopes and
Yeah,
expectations
yeah.
for, and then they become what they will become,
That's
and it's really big. and cumbersome, and they get all over the place.
And these days I do like to just go to the Master Gardener plant sale and pick out my favorite plants there, because they always have what I want in terms of tomatoes, or I should say we always have what I want, tomatoes and the specific annuals that I'm looking for.
And they've already been growing for
Oh,
6
yeah.
weeks, so they're
Yeah.
already in there. They're
Yep.
almost ready to
Ready
go into
to
the
go.
ground.
Yeah, need a couple more weeks.
Oh yeah, just a couple more weeks inside, and then but yes,
Yeah.
if you do your plant shopping with us at the plant sale, then you'll know what else you need to get.
That's right.
And then but again, it gets
Yeah.
dangerous at the plant sale.
Oh,
too.
it does, and that's the last Saturday in April.
That's
all
right.
the time, and the flower and garden shows are. The Seattle show is February 2nd through 11th. It's a big, long time. The ticket prices vary widely, so I'd urge you to go to the website and check that out. The Yard Garden and Patio Show is February 27th through March 1st.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, and go to their website also. It's easy to find on Google. And then we have our very own Spring into Gardening thing from Master Gardeners coming up.
We have the Spring into Gardening seminar for Yamhill County Master Gardeners. We had our inaugural one last year. It was pretty successful, a really great turnout, and we had multiple seminars. This is kind of a continuation of this Saturday, March 14th from 8:45 a.m. until 4 p.m. Doors are going to be opening at quarter after 8.
And
it's
we
going to
give
be
you lunch, too.
It's going to be at the McMinnville Community Center.
Yeah,
this
not
year.
at the high school, but at the community center this year. So that'll be a lot of fun, a lot of space.
And so, and we are actually going to be doing the show live
Oh,
there.
yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. And then we'll have
Right,
every
Ray
single
won't be back then.
No, we won't. Actually, I just got a text from him saying great show. So we've got a great show, thumbs up from Ray.
Okay.
And he's enjoying 71 degrees right now.
Oh.
So good for good for Ray. Shut
Good
up, Ray.
for yeah.
So Spring into Gardening, again, March 14th. Speakers and topics include new vegetable varieties, pruning and care of roses, hydrangeas, vegetables for the kitchen and garden, or the kitchen garden. I'm assuming that's going to be Vernon Nelson. He's an Oregonian columnist and master gardener.
Right.
And then, so tickets are $30 per person. Again, we said that lunch is included with that. That was a really good lunch last year.
It was.
Students are $20. More information can be found. Just Google Yamhill County Master Gardener Spring into
Gardening, Oregon.
Yep. And that is our show that we have, and it really is a lot of information.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of information. There are folks coming from OSU as well as the Rose Society, and Kyle mentioned Vernon Nelson from the Oregonian, and then we also have Rosemary Nichols McGee from Nichols Garden Nursery. They have a fantastic catalog too, and they have an open house periodically, and they provide wonderful seeds, and then also the makings for dealing with honey. Something went weird with the sound. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that was actually just the headphones.
The
go off
headphones.
sometimes.
Okay. Woo-hoo. So she's a great speaker also. I've heard her many times, and her catalog is great with also beer making information and seed gathering and seed seed preservation has been a topic that's come up a number of times at Master Gardener classes. So
yeah, I get asked often, what about hops? Does hops grow here?
Oh,
And
yes.
perfectly fine, doesn't it?
Yeah, that we contribute quite a bit in terms of hops. You just drive out into the middle of the valley over near, I want to say Donald, and down that way you'll see hops.
These big strings of hanging this. Yeah, I thought that they were string beans for a while. And I'm like, wow, those are so high up there. How do you get those beans? It's amazing. Seems like a lot of effort. But and then
hops.
I realized, dawned on me.
And then there's the ornamental hops too. Bright gold thing. So
it all smells really good.
yeah, and pretty.
I guess if it's pretty too. We're definitely gonna have to do a show also on edible gardening. When we talk about going to these shows, that's one of the things they talk about. They have breakout seminars. They have specific sections for edibles. Yeah, for me, the rooftop. I'm imagining it right now because I've got the perfect rooftop on top of my chicken coop for it.
Oh yeah. Well, about this, that's a good size. That's about the size of the Waterwise gardening display that's in Newburgh as you drive 99 west.
Way to plug the Waterwise Garden there in Newburgh on 99 as you drive west.
It's a very successful example. It really is. It's very cool.
What's really great about it is you're driving back from Portland or from wherever and going through Newburgh, and it's got a little parking lot. You just go ahead and pull in there. Plaques everywhere with these little plants of things to see. Thanks for mentioning that, Ruth. That's a good mention. So we've got the garden shows going on. We've got our spring garden, but right now, as far as master gardeners go, we can we can talk about us specifically here in Yamhill County. Have you made it to the classes, the trainee classes?
Yes, we have a new class starting. It's packed. We've got 25, maybe 26 people in there, and that's about max that we can hold, and. A bunch of very enthusiastic people from, as usual, all walks of life. People who are graphic designers, people who are therapists, people who have worked in agriculture, people who have worked in banking, people who have all sorts of backgrounds, which is really cool. And the food's been pretty good. The new class, we always challenge them to bring good snacks.
Your voice raised a little bit. I don't think you're too impressed. I think that you expect more.
Little bit more maybe, but yeah.
We get a little more homemade pumpkin pie or pumpkin bread.
No, we have had some very good sandwiches though, and a wonderful chili last week. But we've had botany, we've had, so that's a little plant biology there as well, and some great information about soils, which is a hard subject to compact into 4 hours and get everybody.
You're telling me. I'm looking at something on soils right now that I compared. The differences between dirt, soil, and compost, and dirt is bland and often either rocky and silty and void of nutrients. Let's do 4 hours on that.
Exactly. But she was a extension agent from Metro, and she had some great visual aids on what happens when you have rocky soil and you want to improve it, or clay soil and you want to improve it, and you put sand into it, and what happens when you have soil layers bumping into each other, and what happens to the water at those soil levels. And she had some great visual aids that I think really helped a lot, because no pun intended, soils is a very dry subject.
It's very really dry. Well, no, that's why I said that dirt is bland. Is actually
dirt is dead. Soil is alive.
But it is. It's really those are the kind of classes that are going on right now, and you're taking them because you're recertifying.
Right, and I'm a mentor to a group of 5.
You're mentoring this year.
I'm mentoring this year. Yeah,
that's awesome because we take the trainees and then we stick them with a veteran that.
Right.
So because it just seems like it's a lot of information.
It's a lot of information.
Because it is a lot of information.
It is,
but
absolutely.
we're not asking you to memorize everything. So we have a guiding hand of a mentor that's saying, okay,
don't freak out.
Don't freak, because this is where you're going to go to get that information if you don't have the answer.
Oh, excuse me.
And that's what we do on the radio show too. Is if we don't have the answer immediately, then we go ahead and we go
do
to
the
our
research.
Extension.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's what we do, and that's what I was reassuring the ladies, all who have tremendous interest and total excitement about the whole thing. But I reassured them, you're not going to have somebody walk in with a really truly odd plant, because those people already know what those truly odd, weird plants are, because that's what they're into.
They have them. That's why they bought them.
That's exactly.
Right.
I said, you're going to get garden plants. You're going to get plants that will become familiar to you fairly quickly, things that you've already seen in your own garden.
Japanese maple is pretty exotic, right?
Yeah, exactly. And azaleas with azalea lace bug on it. And And I said, and so we kind of role play a little bit, and they've got all this stuff that they're reading, and we had a professor from the herbarium at OSU, and we did some plant identification, and that was a challenge. And again, I said, just remember, you're going to get plants that you've seen before. They're not going to be, way weird, and it'll be okay. Just and we'll be there. You won't be alone. You'll get lots of practice.
That was one of my more challenging classes. I remember the actual plant identification,
right,
because they give you this list, and it's like, is the leaf serrated? Is it this? Is it this? Okay, well then is it this?
What does this term mean?
I'm not there yet. Exactly. It's like it's the third week or the fourth week, and it's I know what I'm supposed to be looking for because you're asking me on this worksheet exactly what I am, but I'm not seeing it here. All I'm seeing is a stick, and it has some
and
green
I don't know what the
stuff over
parts
there.
are.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what the parts are.
So
and that's all. That's all information that's available. And so part of what I do is just say, this is where you can find it. This is where you can find it, because we all know there's so much information, and there are so many good resources on the web, and there's so many good resources in our library at the office. But it's just, you know where to look for it, and that's the same with pretty much any subject.
Yep.
But the enthusiasm is great.
That's great. Talking about the new trainee class for the Yamhill County Master Gardeners. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we'll close up the show, talk about a few final things, including the calendar that we should be and have been following so far this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it involves keeping your tools sharp. So
okay.
We'll come right back. You're listening to The Root of It right here on KOYC 1260 AM.
A league record for the most in a quarter. He netted 52 in all. Cavs with their fifth straight win, schooling the Hornets. I'm Kate Delaney, NBC Sports Radio.
Looking for a reliable used vehicle for your teenager? All Honda certified pre-owned vehicles undergo a thorough multi-point inspection by a Honda trained technician to meet Honda certified standards. And the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety named 4 Honda certified eligible models as among the best used car choices for teens under $20,000. We think that's pretty reliable. Find the right vehicle for you at HondaCertified.com and search for local inventory. Start something special with Honda certified pre-owned vehicles.
This Valentine's Day, send your sweetheart the gift that shines above all others. Name a star after them. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we will name a star after your sweetheart and send a beautiful gift package. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for this year's hottest Valentine's Day gift.
Use Full Service Radio, keeping you updated with sports information, news, and the best music around. The Cruise, AM 1260 KLYC. Slight chance of rain this morning, but today after the fog burns off, 57 degrees and partly sunny skies. Feel a little bit like summertime. Chance of a fog, late night, early morning hours, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Increasing clouds to mostly cloudy on Sunday and Monday, but today, partly sunny skies. Chance of rain once again Tuesday, Wednesday. Daytime highs, upper 50s. Overnight lows, mid-40s. It's 49 degrees outside.
The American Legion is the nation's largest and most respected veterans organization. We take the lead in supporting veterans and their families throughout Oregon every day. We have service officers and local Legion posts throughout the state to help all veterans with VA claims, employment, housing, and education benefits, whether you're a Legion member or not. The Oregon American Legion, veterans serving in communities statewide. Find out more at orlegion.org.
We're back here. You're listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC, your weekly gardening show.
Yes.
Hi, Ruth. How are you?
I'm fine, Kyle. How are you?
I'm fine. It's been great talking with you. We do
Great,
have a
thank you.
garden calendar.
Yes.
That is available at extension.oregonstate.edu/gardening/gardening calendar. Just go to extension.oregonstate.edu/yamhill and you've got links to everything
Yes.
that you need right
And
there.
it's easy to find.
And if you have any questions, you just go down to the extension office itself, 2050 Lafayette Avenue here in McMinnville.
Yep.
But what are some of the things on the calendar that stuck out for you?
Well, a reminder to check your tools. This is a good time while we're supposedly still inside being rained on, to go into the shed or the garage or wherever you keep your tools. Make sure they're clean, sharp, ready to go. I know I'm trying to transplant a rose, so I have to tackle my shovel again and see if I can cut through that last root.
One of the things that we talk about often on the show when we talk about sharpening your tools and the shovels is the shovels when they come to you from the store, not sharpened.
No.
So you've got to make sure that you've sharpened them yourself. You don't. You go and you buy that new shiny shovel and you go ahead and you start digging it in the ground. You're like, why is this just not working that well? And it's because you actually have to now go back to the store and buy a file specifically designed for sharpening that, because you can't use a toenail file. That's not going to work. It's not big enough. You've got to spend $20 or some amount
Get
on a
somebody
file.
to sharpen it for you.
Right, you could do that too. But and the reason is because once those shovels are sharpened, could you imagine a store
Trying
full?
to ship them.
Oh my gosh! Somebody just slips their hand over it and right, it's just gone. So so keeping that
shovels,
sharpened,
right?
And when you're attacking that rose, and the reason I actually questioned why you were even moving this thing, because you said it was right in front of your window, and it's growing up really tall. And I said, okay, well, why don't you cut it down? Cutting it down means like 6 inches from the ground, from the basil. And you told me
it just grows right back and
just goes
shoots up 6-inch things. It's very vigorous. It's an old Queen Elizabeth, I think. Very nice pink rose. But I just want to put it in another area of the garden. It's a nice little place where it is, but I want to put some other stuff in there. It's like repainting your house. You got to keep moving things around.
Well, I have the same problem. A few years back, I picked up some roses from the orphanage, and so I brought them home, rescued them, brought them back. They're doing really well, and they're in front of my kitchen window. And I went ahead and I trimmed them back this past weekend, and I'm like, all right, that's great. And now they're these short little things, but I remember doing that last year, and they did shoot up almost 5-6 feet, just these long, tall things. And then there were no roses except for at the very top.
At the top, yeah.
So it's not like they bushed out or did anything when I cut them down. They did. It was like bamboo, straight up. But I do want to move them into my garden now. But they're in these big, huge, 2-foot, 3-foot pots, and they've got enough legroom in them themselves. So I'm hesitant to put them in the ground.
Oh no,
Because then if I come across the same problem that I'm going to one day want to move them, then it becomes a bigger problem, because...
Well, you got to get them in the ground sometime, though, And you've got...
Do I?
Yes.
Do I, Ruth?
Yes, you must put them in the ground. And besides, you've got kids who can help you, as they grow and get stronger, if necessary. You can
We've got to go tackle
harvest their strength.
Rose problem.
And they'll just love you for it. Well, roses, like a lot of... woody shrubs can be pruned in this 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 sort of system where you only take out the third oldest canes every year. And
yeah, we got to do the weekly or the yearly rose show is going to be coming up. I think that we do that at the end of February.
Okay.
Because that's when they start doing all of their stuff for us. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, because I was wondering how I got these roses that were just so tall, and it's because I had just pruned them, and that's the only way they knew was
to grow. The other thing on the calendar I found interesting at this time of year, something that I am guilty of not doing very often, is checking house plants and looking for, if you see little flying things, you're going to notice them. You're going to notice if it's white flies or random fruit flies that have invaded.
Or the fungus gnats.
That
people call fruit flies, but they're really there because you have damp soil and they're eating the mold that's growing in there. That just means you have damp soil.
That's right. Get rid of it. Or let it dry out some. But the thing that really stands out sometimes is a little scale that I get on my jade plants. And that's very simple to take care of, because you just go with your fingernail or a toothpick and you just scrape it off and then put it under a warm sink spray and wash all that off. You don't even have to use anything.
It's almost like aphids.
It's a little mite that's got a hard shell, and sometimes they're white and fluffy, and sometimes they're brown and scaly.
But not so hard that you can't squeeze it, right?
You just scrape it off with your fingernail. Nice. Yeah. Biocontrol.
Yeah, my houseplants, I love before the season starts, each change of the season, it's like, yes, I've read the calendar. I've gone through all of these things. I'm going to do it, and I haven't done it. The thing that I'm talking about is with the house plants. It's like, okay, well, you don't need to water them as often. Well, that's great. So I haven't.
Yeah.
Since
keyword as often.
Right, as often. So it's like essentially every 3 weeks. But for what I was actually finding is it was actually more like once a week, maybe every other week, and I haven't even been doing that. So, but they are resilient.
They are. Plants are resilient.
They can go without, especially some of the shrubbery plants that I brought inside.
Right.
They're like, fine, don't water me. I'm asleep anyway.
That's right.
I'm not doing anything.
No,
anyway.
Plants are very forgiving. They're very hardy most of the time.
Anything else on the calendar sticking out?
No, that was, rose sprays, dormant sprays, things like that.
That's a key point. Actually, that's something that we really should put out there, because we've got this
dormant
warm weather out there, and you want to get out there. A good thing to be doing is get that sulfur spray out.
Right.
And put that on the roses.
Right.
I was already noticing some powdery mildew, because also with these warm temperatures and the wetness that's still abound, botrytis and powdery mildew and everything is going to love to start coming out this
sprouting.
So you go ahead and you attack this point right now, and you won't have leaf curl. You won't have
peach tree and leaf curl and stuff. And we have lots of really good information at the extension office about that. Just swing on by, and somebody will help you get the proper info, because along with applying some of these things, you want to make sure you're not applying too much. You want to make sure you're applying it to the right place, the right plant, and in concentrations that are effective. Because you don't want to damage the environment. You don't want runoff, which can be a problem this time of year. Whenever we get rain, there's that problem.
Yeah, on the way in here, I noticed that the Christmas tree farm that's just outside Amity, they were actually putting in new seedlings, which was really fun to see, because they've got a bag of sawdust, and inside of this sawdust are these sapling things, and they're going and they're throwing them down, and just along the way, you can see these big commercial farming endeavors. But they're working today. And that's kind of basically what the gardener should be taking heed of.
Yes.
Because, today is the day to work. This week is one of those weeks where you can get some stuff done, not necessarily putting the heavy machinery into the mud or anything like that.
Right, you don't want to compress anything.
But you are taking advantage of this moment in time and getting stuff done.
Yeah,
with that being said, it's 10 o'clock. And the show is actually over. Thanks for coming in, Ruth.
No problem.
We will definitely be having you back off and on.
Thanks.
And we'll get some more things to talk about. For right now, though, you've been listening to The Root of It right here on KLYC 1260 AM. If you've missed any part of the show, or you want to see it on a repeat, you just go to YouTube and search for To the Root of It, KLYC. You can also go to facebook.com. KOYC is there. And for all of the links and information, just go to koyc.us. Once again, this is KOYC. I'm Kyle. That's Ruth. And you've been listening to The Root of It. Thanks.